to fucking die! Where's Abby?
Those are your fucking people. You're my people.
I don't think I can ever forgive you for that. But I would like to try.
And we're back. It's time for the third and final day in Ellie's adventure through Seattle. By this point, about 10 hours into the game, this quest for revenge, trudging across the city, grimly executing wolves and scars alike, is getting to be a miserable slog. But that's the point. After everything you've lost and everything you've been forced to do, you kinda want Ellie to just turn around and go back before she does any more irreparable damage to her body and her psyche. Seattle Day 3 starts off with Ellie and Jesse leaving the theater and venturing back into the war zone under the auspice of rescuing Tommy. But Ellie is secretly still focused on finding Abby and making her pay. On my first playthrough, as Ellie charged through the flooded streets of Seattle on her way to the Aquarium, I thought the game was winding down. Of course, I had another thing coming when we turned the clock back to Day 1. Ellie Day 3 isn't an especially groundbreaking or memorable chunk of gameplay. It feels more rushed and underdeveloped than the previous 2 days, mostly just playing the hits on the road to the Aquarium. A bloater boss, a stealthy infiltration, a battle scene with a sniper's nest, but it ends with the greatest twist in gaming history. So, let's get started.
Let's do this.
You killed my friends. We let you both live. And you wasted it!
You do this, I'm not saving your ass again.
I really hope you make it.
Ellie wakes up after a few hours of not so restful sleep and wanders around the theater looking for Jesse and Dina. On the way, she passes a poster for Curtis and Viper 4, bearing the tagline, "The War, the Merrier."
The more the merrier.
It looks like perfect 80s action movie fare, a Christmas-themed buddy cop adventure starring a grizzled ex-commando and his ninja sidekick. The sight of this poster instantly reminds Ellie of Joel.
Hey look, Joel. It's your favorite.
Curtis and Viper was Joel's favorite movie franchise. Curtis and Viper 2 is the movie that Joel and Ellie were going to watch together to patch things up on the fateful night he was killed.
Oh. You guys good?
Yeah.
It's probably the Last of Us universe equivalent of Tango and Cash or Big Trouble in Little China, but it's a very meaningful thing for them. After killing Nora and reaching her moral rock bottom, Ellie spent the night reflecting on the betrayal that irreparably soured her relationship with Joel. In the final flashback of Ellie's Seattle-bound crusade, we saw Ellie track down the hospital where the Fireflies tried to operate on her and force a confession out of Joel. Suddenly, Ellie's quest for revenge is a lot more complicated. It's not just about avenging Joel's death and serving justice for the deceased, and it's not just about alleviating Ellie's survivor's guilt. It's a misguided attempt to get the closure that Ellie never got when Joel was alive. She never got a chance to reconnect with Joel and make up for lost time. Ellie is chasing Abby across Seattle because she loves Joel, but we just saw that there was a time not too long ago when she hated him. She feels guilty that she wasted all those years giving Joel the cold shoulder and didn't make up with him sooner. All of this guilt and regret and anger is manifesting itself in this horribly self-destructive warpath. Just from the way Ellie looks at this poster and fondly remembers Joel, we're starting to see her reconcile the Joel we saw in the flashback with the Joel she's in Seattle to avenge. The Joel we saw in the flashback is the monster who doomed humanity, who Ellie cut out of her life without a second thought. But the Joel she's avenging is her dad, the loving father figure who taught her how to swim, took her to space for her birthday, and yes, even doomed humanity because he couldn't bear to lose her. The Joel she's avenging is the guy who introduced her to the joys of cheesy action cinema. In the lobby, Ellie finds Dina asleep, sick as a dog, with Jesse watching over her. Jesse has figured out that Dina's pregnant because he's got 2 working eyes, and he's not impressed. I love his "can I talk to you for a minute" look. He's like an angry teacher.
Is she pregnant?
Yeah?
He states the obvious that they need to get Dina back to Jackson.
She needs real care and she's not gonna get that.
Yeah, I know.
Ellie agrees, or at least says she does. But she also says she can't leave Tommy behind.
I can't just leave Tommy. He's out here because of me.
Jesse concurs and they come up with a plan. Save Tommy, get the band back together, and get the hell out of Dodge. Ellie offers to go after Tommy alone so Jesse can get a head start with Dina, but they both know Dina won't leave without Ellie, so Jesse agrees to help Ellie find Tommy.
Screw it. Let's get Tommy.
At the hospital, Ellie managed to get Nora to reveal that Abby is hiding out at the aquarium. Assuming Tommy has the same intel, Ellie and Jesse head towards the aquarium. For Jesse, this is a rescue Tommy mission. Ellie is going along with that ostensibly, but for her, it's secretly still a kill Abby mission. She's going along with Jesse's plan looking for Tommy, but since Tommy's hunting down Abby, Ellie is hoping that these two quests will converge and it'll all work out. They'll get to the aquarium and kill Abby while they're waiting for Tommy, or they'll find that Tommy has already killed Abby, and if it doesn't work out that neatly, then she'll just have to figure something out on the fly. After doing the hospital run alone, I was so grateful to have Jesse at my side in this section. Here, the game briefly turns back into the Goonies, with a couple of plucky kids embarking on a crazy adventure. The pathetic fallacy gets kicked into overdrive on day 3. The storm is finally here, enveloping the city in cold, wet misery. You're battered by heavy rain as soon as you leave the theater, and the weather will only get worse and worse on the road to the aquarium. It's as if the heavens themselves are telling Ellie not to go any further. But of course, she charges ahead. It'll take more than a bit of rainfall to stop Ellie from pursuing Abby. Jesse asks if Nora told Ellie why they killed Joel, but Ellie coyly says that back when Joel was a smuggler, he and the Fireflies disagreed about some goods, and the deal went south.
Joel had falling out with some Fireflies. No, former Fireflies.
What kind of falling out?
He was a smuggler, and they disagreed about some goods.
That's technically true, but the goods were Ellie herself, and the disagreement concerned the fate of the human race. Ellie can't tell Jesse the real reason Abby and her friends killed Joel, or at least what she thinks is the real reason, because that would mean admitting that Joel doomed humanity, which would tarnish his image as a hero. Joel's lie has kick-started a whole chain of enforced lying. As they cut through some buildings, Jesse makes it crystal clear that their mission is to save Tommy, and that as soon as they find him, they're going home.
I need to get clear on something. When we find Tommy, you're good with going home.
He wants Ellie to tell him to his face that she's good with that plan, even if it means leaving some of these assholes alive. Ellie agrees with Jesse and tells him Dina should be back in Jackson.
You'll be leaving some of those assholes alive.
Dina should be back in Jackson.
Deep down, she knows Jesse is right, and she knows Dina does need medical attention she can't get in Seattle. But she's only saying it out loud to satiate Jesse. She has no intention whatsoever of leaving any of those assholes alive. Jesse, ever the devil's advocate, asks Ellie if she's worried the wolves might come back to Jackson for their own revenge.
You ever worried they're gonna come back to Jackson after us?
What do you mean?
I mean, we're going through a lot of their people. In their city.
Because of what they did.
Didn't Abby and her friends come to Jackson because of something Joel did?
This whole exchange highlights the futile cycle of violence at the heart of the story.
Cycle of violence, endless cycle of violence.
Gil walked me down the story, and he was like, this cycle of violence.
Acts of violence that then would beget more acts of violence.
Jesse points out that they're killing a lot of wolves on their turf, but Ellie points out that they're only killing wolves because of what they did. But then Jesse points out that the wolves came to Jackson because of something Joel did. They go back and forth, unwittingly outlining exactly why this is a bad idea, and why this kind of thinking leads down a destructive path with no hope of a happy ending. Ellie shuts the conversation down pretty quickly because Jesse is making too much sense, and we saw earlier with Dina that Ellie doesn't like it when her desire for vengeance is confronted with facts and logic.
Why do you think that they didn't finish
It doesn't matter. They fucked up.
Jesse asks Ellie why Dina didn't tell him she was pregnant, but before she can answer, they're surrounded by wolves.
I just gotta ask. Why didn't she tell me about it? The pregnancy.
Listen, I'm sure she'll tell you about it when she...
After making it through the first wave, Jesse mentions the Seraphites, but Ellie has only heard them called Scars.
Seraphons or something, Seraphites.
Scars is all I've heard them called.
The wolves instinctively call the Seraphites Scars because it denigrates and otherizes this group of people. If you call them Seraphites, you acknowledge their humanity and their right to exist. But if you call them Scars, you deny that humanity and reduce them to a pest that needs to be eliminated.
You think we're gonna see a lot of scars?
Seraphites.
When Abby joins forces with Lev, we'll see how hurtful and dehumanizing this slur can be, and how difficult it is for an indoctrinated wolf to break the habit.
Fuck these scars. Seraphites, whatever.
Yeah, fuck them.
Never heard a Seraphite cuss before.
Ellie and Jesse cut through the ruins of a comic book convention and slowly piece together what must have been happening there during the outbreak. A gathering of geeks who share the same interests as Ellie.
What's up with all these posters?
It's a bunch of comics. Wait, what was happening here?
Ellie is jealous of all the people who got to go to this con, and other cons like it.
Gathering for people who are really into this stuff. Like you, basically.
You were born in the wrong time, man.
It always tickles me that this is the reason she wishes she was born in a different time. These kids have grown up in a lawless post-apocalyptic world. They're used to being surrounded by ravenous, bloodthirsty mutants. That's not the thing that bothers Ellie about being born in this time, not the pre-outbreak time. It's the little things, the niceties that we take for granted that Ellie wishes she got to experience. Kids like Ellie and Jesse never got to enjoy the creature comforts of a pre-apocalyptic society, whether that means restaurants or concerts or indeed conventions for nerds. When things have quietened down a bit, Jesse asks again about Dina, pressing for the reason why she kept her pregnancy a secret from the father.
What were you saying? Before? About Dina. You said she'll tell me when...
Ellie says Dina will probably tell Jesse once things are wrapped up here, but she doesn't have a firm answer for him. The reason is pretty obvious. It'll be a difficult conversation, and Dina is much too sick to have a difficult conversation right now. Jesse asks if Dina is planning to keep the baby, but Ellie doesn't know.
Do you know if she's gonna keep it?
I don't.
Does that mean there's an abortionist in Jackson? It sure seems like it if she has the option to not keep it. Ellie and Jesse start heading towards the Ferris wheel on the coast where the aquarium is, but it won't be easy. They have to get across a bombed out street where the bomb craters have been flooded by the rainwater. It's a nightmare to get through, especially when you reach a dead end crawling with infected. But there's a lot of great dialogue between these two characters.
Go Team Jackson.
Fuck these motherfuckers.
Couldn't have said it better. I say as soon as we get back, we get drunk and play some board games.
Oh yeah?
I want to feel normal.
That sounds great. Except I don't think Dina's gonna be drinking.
Well, she can stay sober.
Unprompted, Jesse tells Ellie he would have come along on the road to revenge if they'd asked him.
I would have come, you know. If you told me you were leaving.
I didn't think you'd be okay with all this.
Ellie thought Jesse was too goody-goody to go along with it, but Jesse surprises her.
I looked up to Joel. What happened to him was messed up. I would have come.
This gets them onto a nice chat about how Joel thought Ellie had a crush on Jesse.
Joel liked you a lot too, you know. I used to think I had a crush on you.
I hear the way Jesse talks about you.
No, Jesse and I are just friends.
No, I've got a pretty keen eye for these sort of things.
Not so keen with this one. I mean, you're handsome and whatever, but I'm not into your type.
What, Asians?
Yeah, that's obviously what I meant.
It's one of the few times in Seattle that Ellie feels comfortable conversing about Joel and sharing positive memories about him. It's a great bit of banter that sells their long-time friendship. Ellie clearly feels comfortable opening up to Jesse and joking around with him, and it's really nice to see glimmers of happiness during this horribly dark time in Ellie's life. As they struggle to find a clear path to the aquarium, Ellie and Jesse see some wolves riding around on a boat, so they decide to steal the boat to make their journey a bit easier.
So what's the plan? We take these guys out and steal their boat?
Definitely taking their boat. It's up to them if they want to get in our way.
But while they're making their way down to the boat, they overhear some walkie-talkie chatter about a sniper pinning down wolves nearby.
Sniper spotted as well. I repeat, sniper sighted at the marina. Likely this right now.
It has to be Tommy, so Jesse wants to go that way, but Ellie still wants to go to the aquarium.
If it is him, he'll be gone by the time we get there. Abby is where he'll be headed, so if we just
What if
fall,
he's in trouble?
he can take care of himself.
She's clearly still in the kill Abby mindset, not the save Tommy mindset, and Jesse is getting sick of her bullshit.
Jesus Christ.
The best way to help Tommy is to go after Abby.
Ellie tries to convince Jesse to come with her to the aquarium, but he's not biting, so she resorts to a childish insult and tells him that if he runs into trouble, she's not saving his ass again.
You do this, I'm not saving your ass again.
That's such a low blow, it's so unnecessary, and he's gone so far out of his way to help Ellie. Before departing on his own to save Tommy, Jesse simply wishes her well.
I really hope you make it.
It's a bit passive-aggressive, but even now, Jesse is still being a good guy and looking out for his friends. We'll find out later that Tommy probably would have drowned if Jesse hadn't gone after it, so it's a good thing at least one of them is thinking straight. As Jesse goes after Tommy, Ellie is once again left to pursue Abby alone. She sneaks through a dilapidated department store full of wolves, steals their boat, and escapes into the flooded city. After making it off the high street, Ellie rides a rushing river through the post-apocalyptic remains of Seattle. This sequence has some of the most amazing design work and spectacular visuals in the entire game. It's a literal urban jungle. You're in the middle of a sprawling metropolis, but it feels like a Heart of Darkness odyssey up the river to kill Colonel Kurtz.
Each time I looked around, the walls moved in a little tighter. Everyone gets everything he wants. I wanted a mission. And for my sins, they gave me one.
This is the end, beautiful friend.
These rapids are just like Ellie herself, an unstoppable force of nature, narrowly focused in one direction. Ellie is at her absolute lowest point. She insulted Dina, she insulted Jesse, she put her own desire for revenge above Tommy's life. She's been left alone, cold and shivering, filled with rage, and she's convinced that killing Abby will magically make it all better. The thunder and lightning cracking in the sky is so dramatic and creates such a palpable cinematic atmosphere. As you sail across the city, you stumble into a battle between wolves and seraphites, where you can sneak up to a sniper's nest and pick off both sides. You keep getting beaten over the head with this endless cycle of violence, but you also get to have a lot of fun with it. As Ellie cuts through an arcade and tries to get the shutter open, she runs into an old school bloater for a nice little throwback boss fight.
Move and fire, and move and fire, and move and fire.
This is where Jules and Gray's story comes to a head. Since Ellie arrived in Seattle, you've been finding letters that a WLF defector named Gray has left for his friend Jules. Jules was supposed to abandon the wolves with Gray, but Jules never showed up to the rendezvous point. As Gray meets a Seraphite named Zachary, gets indoctrinated with the Prophet's teachings, and changes his name to Emmett, he leaves a series of letters for Jules to find in case they change their mind and decide to follow him. Across all 3 days, I was hoping that Jules would reunite with Gray, and that, for once, this epistolary story within a story would have a happy ending. But alas, Jules never went looking for Gray. Or if they did, they didn't catch up with him. And by the time Gray made it out of the city and headed to the island alone, he was a shadow of his former self, enveloped by his newfound religious beliefs. It just hammers home that there is no good side or bad side in this war. It's just a needlessly devastating conflict, destroying every life and relationship in its path. After Ellie gets through the arcade, she's in the final stretch to the Ferris wheel. She just has to get to the choppy waters on the coast and cut across to the nearest pier. On the way over, the engine cuts out and the boat capsizes, leaving Ellie to swim the rest of the way. Every cosmic power in the universe is telling her to give up and turn back, but nothing will stop her. Ellie washes up at the aquarium and hauls herself out of the water. She's freezing cold, soaking wet, she's shaking, miserable, she's fucking exhausted, but she's still completely undeterred from her revenge mission.
Let's do this.
Whoa. Hey.
After the hell she's been through, Ellie finally infiltrates the aquarium, with barely enough energy left to clench a fist, let alone best Abby in combat. On my first playthrough, I had no idea what to expect in the aquarium. Will Abby be there? Is anyone else there? Is Tommy here yet? Did Jesse catch up with him? What's gonna happen? Ellie crawls through a vent just like she's done a bunch of times before, but this time the entire vent falls off the ceiling and sends Ellie tumbling out into a hallway, where she's promptly attacked by a guard dog. If you spam the square button fast enough, then you'll just about manage to stab it to death before it rips your face off. We have no clue who this dog is yet. As far as we know, it's just another random NPC dog like all those other dogs that have been following our scent trails across Seattle. But this dog is special. Before long, we'll be playing fetch with her and patting her on the head. As you head deeper into the aquarium, you find Owen's Firefly tag, you find the Salt Lake crew's sleeping quarters, and you find a bunch of blood-soaked rags and used medical equipment in the operating room.
What the fuck happened here?
We're getting all these hints and teases of a whole separate story playing out that we haven't seen, but we're about to. Ellie follows the muffled sounds of voices and walks in on Owen and Mel arguing. Owen wants to go to the island to help Abby, but Mel thinks it's suicide.
People don't come back from that island.
How many times has Abby risked her life for you?
She chose this. I'm not fucking going there.
Then don't!
We don't know what any of this means yet, what island, but it basically confirms Mel's suspicion that Owen still loves Abby way more than he loves her.
Fuck you, Owen. Hands up. Where's Abby?
Ellie tries to question them for Abby's location using the patented Miller family interrogation technique. You get one person to show you the information, then get the other person to tell you, so they don't have a chance to coordinate a lie. But it quickly goes awry. As much as Ellie wants to be like Joel, she's not Joel. She wants to be as collected and steady-handed as Joel, but she's too flustered and emotional. She wants to be as cold-blooded as Joel, but she can't tamp down her remorse as easily as he did. She wants to handle these high-stakes situations like a pro, just like Joel, but she doesn't have his experience or his battle-hardened grit. Before she can get a straight answer out of either of them, Owen goes for the gun and Ellie shoots him in the stomach. Mel tries to stab her, but Ellie fights back and kills her too. She tries to get Owen to tell her where Abby is with his dying breath, but he's trying to tell her something else.
Tell me where Abby is. Where the fuck is she?
Owen's final word is gargled in blood, so it's barely coherent, but Ellie thinks she heard what he was trying to say and it horrifies her. To confirm her suspicions, she goes over to Mel's now bloodied corpse and opens up her coat, revealing a big old baby bump. Ellie was so singularly focused on revenge that now she's gone and killed a pregnant woman. This could just as easily have been Dina. The horror of Mel's death and the death of her unborn child snaps Ellie out of it. She can't believe what she's done. It triggers a panic attack. Ashley Johnson goes to another really dark place to deliver another really powerful moment, and her heart-wrenching performance is complemented by the sound design. A traumatic ringing sound takes over as Tommy and Jesse come in, calling out Ellie's name. For a second, she hears it in Joel's voice. It's subtle, but really effective. It's like he's crying out from beyond the grave, devastated by what she's become and desperate to console her. Ellie says, "I'm sorry," to no one in particular. There's so much shock, confusion, and guilt going through her system that she's completely overwhelmed.
It's all right. Come on, let's go. Let's go. It's all right.
At the theater, with a heavy head, Ellie snuggles up to Dina. Seeing a pregnant woman she loves doesn't make her feel much better about killing one she hated. After a few more hours of restless sleep, Ellie gets up and heads towards the stage, where she finds Jesse and Tommy plotting their route home.
It's not gonna work. It's completely covered in snow.
Nah, by the time we get there, this whole area will be thawed.
Tommy can see that Ellie is still shaken up about what happened last night, so he comforts her with some kind words.
Hey. They got what they deserved.
Tommy Miller, the master of telling murderers what they want to hear.
Can't say I'd have done different.
But Ellie is still pretty dejected.
But she gets to live.
She still can't wrap her head around letting Abby live. Tommy has made peace with it. He's seen the grim consequences of this quest for revenge, and he's been through a near-death experience at the marina, so he's ready to hang it up and go home to his wife. But even after everything she's survived and everything she's done, Ellie still can't let it go.
Is that okay?
It has to be.
Ellie has finally agreed to give up her mission and head home, but that's not what she really wants to do. If she had her way, she'd be heading to the island right now to find Abby. The great irony is that when we go back and see all this from Abby's perspective, we'll discover that Ellie has actually given her a fate worse than death. Leaving Abby alive but all her friends dead is so much worse than just killing her and ending it all. Killing Nora and Manny and Mel and Owen especially is tantamount to Joel killing her dad, but Ellie doesn't know that because she doesn't have the luxury we do, walking a mile in Abby's shoes and seeing this whole thing from her point of view. Jesse points out that Maria will be furious at Tommy when they get back to Jackson, but Tommy isn't sweating it.
We've been through worse.
This is a bit more sly foreshadowing. Before all is said and done, they will go through worse. He's pilfered a necklace for her from a Seattle jewelry shop, and Jesse questions his claim that it's real gold, so he goes to get it from his bag.
It sparkles a lot. I think it's real gold.
You think it's real gold?
It's real gold.
Let's see it.
I know what gold looks like.
When he leaves them alone, Ellie and Jesse kinda sorta make up. They're still a bit raw from the falling out earlier, but Jesse repeats his mantra.
My friend's problems are my problems.
This time, he doesn't just mean the problem of a ruthless citywide militia manhunt. He means the grief and trauma and pent-up rage that drove Ellie to the point of lashing out at him. But this time, Ellie pushes back, so Jesse tweaks it a bit.
You're such a sap.
Alright, how about, my friends can't get out of their own damn way?
That's not just less sappy, it's much more accurate. At this point in my first playthrough, I thought the game was wrapping up, as I'm sure many people did. But we're still only halfway there. Ellie and Jesse's sweet moment is interrupted by dread as they hear fighting outside and run to save Tommy. They burst through the doors into the lobby, and then everything goes to hell. Abby is there. After we spent 3 days relentlessly chasing Abby across Seattle, she's come to us. She shoots Jesse in the face and he drops dead. To us, Jesse is a beloved character. But to Abby, Jesse is just another NPC like the countless named wolves we've murdered over the last couple of days. Ellie quickly takes cover before she meets the same fate. Abby is holding Tommy at gunpoint, so she forces Ellie to come out, drop the gun and put her hands up.
Alright, stop! Stop!
Toss your weapon.
Toss your weapon!
No.
I know why you killed Joel. He did what he did to save me. There is no cure because of me. I am the one that you want.
In a last-ditch effort to save Tommy's life, Ellie tells Abby, I know why you killed Joel. But she doesn't know why Abby killed Joel. She thinks Abby was just generally avenging the Fireflies and the cure that never was. She doesn't know Abby had the exact same motivation as her, avenging the murder of her dad. As Abby pieces it together that Joel's brother and that girl who walked in on the murder have come to Seattle seeking revenge, she's almost offended that Ellie has repaid her mercy with retribution. From Ellie's perspective, Abby is the heartless monster who beat Joel to death, so she deserves to die. But from Abby's perspective, she spared Ellie's life, so she feels like Ellie owes her a bit of leeway.
You killed my friends. We let you both live. And you wasted it.
As Abby points her gun at Ellie, we cut to black.
Dad! Dad!
Suddenly, young Abby is running through the park looking for her dad, and a caption tells us it's 4 years earlier. This might be the most jarring left turn I've ever experienced in a video game, but I was so deeply invested in the story at this point, and so intrigued by this new direction the story was taking, a story I thought was about 15 minutes away from being over, that I just went with it. I wanted to see where this would go.
Is he still in the fucking building? Abby.
No!
Abby, don't look.
Dad! Dad! No!
Look, everything that we've been fighting for, all the sacrifices, all of the horrific, all of that is justified with this one act.
If this was your daughter, what would you do? If it was me, I'd want you to do the surgery.
So, just as we reached the long-anticipated climax of the story, we abruptly cut away to an Abby-centric flashback. You're playing as Abby, you're running through the park, and you have to find her dad. Exactly why we're here and how it ties into the pressing matter at hand will all become clear soon enough. For now, you have to find Jerry. While you're trying to figure out a way around a locked gate, you find an old coin. This will be the new collectible for this part of the game. Ellie collected trading cards, Abby collects coins. Picking up coins bearing various states and years of mintage is nowhere near as much fun as collecting superhero cards, each with their own power set and origin story, and the coins are much harder to spot. But I do find it adorable that Abby inherited her dorky coin obsession from her dad, and that she'll keep the collection going in his memory. The young Abby we see in this flashback has a regular build. She doesn't yet have the motivation to start hitting the gym and turn herself into a Schwarzenegger-sized killing machine, but she soon will. When she finds Jerry, he's searching the park for a pregnant zebra that escaped from a nearby zoo so he can help her deliver. This instantly introduces Jerry as a good guy. All we knew about him in part 1 was that he wanted to kill Ellie, so naturally we hated him. But here we see that he'll risk getting torn apart by infected to make sure a zebra and her newborn baby are safe. Jerry and Abby's experience with the zebra is reminiscent of Joel and Ellie's iconic scene with the giraffes in part 1. In fact, we'll find out in a minute that the zebra came from the same abandoned zoo as the giraffes. Animals are the perfect way to illustrate the remnants of purity and beauty in this post-apocalyptic hellscape. The human race has devolved into savagery, but the animal kingdom is just as tranquil and majestic as it ever was. As they search for the zebra, we get an idea of the kind of relationship Abby and Jerry had before it was tragically cut short.
You do what you need to do to get it done.
Wow. You actually listen.
You have your moments of wisdom.
We see that Jerry is a great dad. Abby is easily frustrated by him, as any teenager is by their parents, and she's easily bored by his lectures and life lessons, but she also loves him and looks up to him. It's similar to Joel's relationship with Sarah, as described by Sarah's birthday card. Jerry has noticed that Abby and Owen fancy each other, which leaves Abby mortally embarrassed because she knows he's right.
How long have you known?
I'm your dad. I see things. Like the way you both try really, really hard not to look at each other when you're around me.
I can't handle this.
And he makes you laugh.
It turns out Jerry has a much keener eye for this sort of thing than Joel.
Jesse and I are just friends.
No, I've got a pretty keen eye for these sort of things.
Not so keen with this one.
Abby finds the zebra's afterbirth strewn across the ground. She's already given birth.
Dad, I found something. Dad?
It's her. Let's go.
That doesn't sound good.
As they hear distressed animal cries from around the corner, the game seems to be setting up an infected encounter, and even gives you a loaded gun to prepare you for it. But there's no infected. The zebra has gotten caught in some barbed wire. As Jerry tries to free her, Owen comes along to tell Jerry that he's needed back at the Firefly base.
What?
But Jerry won't hear it.
Hey, get over here and help me hold her. We need you back up. Owen!
He just orders Owen to help him cut the zebra loose. And even then, he still won't listen to what Owen has to say, because he wants to see the zebra reunite with her child.
We did good back there.
It's a beautiful moment that puts the power of a parent's love on full display. But as they follow the zebra out into the clearing, we finally see where they are and why all this matters. The Firefly base in question is St. Mary's Hospital, and Owen needs Jerry to come back because the fabled immune girl has just shown up.
Doc, that girl showed up. What girl? The one Marlene keeps talking about.
She has an old bite mark on her arm and no signs of infection. Suddenly it all makes sense. This is that day.
Oh no.
We cut to a tense late-night discussion between Jerry and Marlene. They've run their tests on Ellie's infected brain and they've determined that they can indeed reverse engineer a vaccine that will save the world. The only catch is Ellie has to die. Jerry is happy to make that sacrifice, if anything a bit too happy, but Marlene isn't so sure.
She's a child, not some petri dish.
You think I don't... I'm aware of the situation.
And you're okay with killing her?
No, I'm okay with developing a vaccine that'll help save millions of lives. How many Fireflies have died for less?
That was their choice.
It's interesting to see that this wasn't an easy decision for Marlene. When Marlene confronted Joel in part 1, she'd already made up her mind, and even seemed to revel in telling Joel this kid would die. But here, we see that she agonized over it and tried to convince Jerry to find another way to create the cure. But there was no other way.
Are you asking me? Or are you telling me this is how it's gonna be?
I am begging you to buy in.
Jerry insists that they have to kill Ellie for the greater good, but Marlene gives him pause when she asks him what he'd do if it was Abby who was immune. If his own daughter was the one who had to die to create the cure, would he still be so sure that it was the right thing to do?
And what if this was Abby?
It's a great point that leaves Jerry completely stumped.
Look, everything that we've been fighting for, all the sacrifices, all of the horrific...
He dodges the question.
All of that is justified with this one act.
Instead launching into a whole tirade justifying Ellie's demise.
If this was your daughter, what would you do?
Before Abby interrupts them to bring her dad some dinner.
Abby.
I'll buy some dinner.
Abby tells Jerry that if it was her who had to die for the cure, she'd want him to do it.
If it was me, I'd want you to do the surgery.
But crucially, that's her choice, not his. In all this debate and back and forth, no one ever asked Ellie what she wanted, and that's what makes it so unethical. Marlene finally relents, accepts Ellie's fate, and goes to tell Joel.
I'm gonna go tell Joel.
Why?
Jerry wonders why she's bothering to tell Joel, but she insists he has a right to know.
He traveled across the country with her. He has a right to know.
He does have a right to know, but the truth is that Marlene just wants someone to share the burden of guilt. She knows Joel as the cold-hearted monster from back in Boston, so she expects him to be fine with it, which will ease her conscience. What she doesn't expect is that telling Joel will kick off a series of events that will lead to Jerry's untimely death, her untimely death, the end of the Fireflies, and the loss of any and all hope for humanity's future. A bit later, we see Abby walk into a familiar hospital hallway, illuminated by flashing red sirens. We're back at the end of part 1, but from Abby's perspective. Abby runs to the OR, but she's too late. Her dad is dead, lying in a pool of his own blood. Owen tries to shield her from the sight that will haunt her for the next 4 years, but she's already seen it.
No!
Abby, don't look.
Dad! Dad! No! No!
Abby is absolutely devastated, as you'd expect. I love Laura Bailey's performance in this scene. She captures the horror of an only child walking in on their dad's murder just as effectively and powerfully as Ashley Johnson did at the beginning of the game. She's so overwhelmed with sadness and grief that she can't even get the word no out in a single breath.
No! No!
It's so heartbreaking. I can't understand how anyone could watch this scene and not empathize with Abby. It couldn't be clearer that from her perspective, Joel is the villain. As Abby sobs uncontrollably in Owen's arms, we suddenly jump ahead 4 years to Abby, built like a professional wrestler and filled with vengeful rage, standing over Joel's beaten, bloodied body, getting ready to deliver the final death blow. Since her dad was murdered 4 years ago, every second of Abby's existence has been leading to this moment. She's been singularly focused on getting into fighting shape and tracking down Joel so that she could avenge her dad. It's the exact same story we've just been following from Ellie's perspective, the pursuit of sweet vengeance. And suddenly it all makes sense. There are no heroes or villains in this story. There are only a bunch of broken people hurting each other in a desperate attempt to ease their pain and make themselves feel better. The supposed monster we've been chasing for 3 days isn't really a monster after all. She's just like us.
Remember when I told you we're not so different, you and I? We're not so different, you and I. See, I did say that.
Here we see the most gut-wrenching scene in the game all over again, but from Abby's perspective.
Joel, get up. Joel, fucking get up. Please stop. Please don't shoot. Joel, please get up. No!
We hear all the dialogue between Abby and her friends, which was tuned out by Ellie's grief and trauma in her version of this scene. After Manny spits on Joel's corpse, the final insult, he goes to kill Ellie and Tommy to tie up loose ends. But Owen steps in to stop him because he has the conscience and moral compass that Manny and Joel both lack.
We killed them. We're no better than he was.
This devolves into a Treasure of the Sierra Madre style ethical debate over whether or not to leave the witnesses alive.
We can't have loose ends.
They all get into a heated argument and each give their 2 cents. Mel agrees with Manny that leaving Ellie and Tommy alive would just invite them to seek revenge, which they did, and Jordan wants to kill them just because Ellie cut his face and he dislikes her for it. But Abby puts her foot down and tells them we're done, meaning no more killing.
Stop! We're done.
Abby is feeling deeply conflicted, and Laura Bailey plays those conflicted emotions perfectly. She just achieved the victory she's been chasing for 4 years, but she doesn't feel a sense of satisfaction or justice. She just feels empty and confused. Killing Joel didn't make her feel any better, it just heaped on more bad feelings. Now her dad is still dead and she has this gruesome murder weighing on her. She's become a person that Jerry wouldn't have wanted her to be. She makes the executive decision to spare Ellie and Tommy's lives because she doesn't want to be responsible for any more death and suffering today. She's doled out her fair share. As Abby tosses down the blood-soaked golf club and learns the harsh but important lesson that Ellie will learn before this story is over, the lesson that revenge won't solve anything and will actually make you feel much, much worse, we cut to black. Then we see a familiar caption, Seattle Day 1. I cannot overstate how much this blew me the fuck away the first time I played the game. We just spent 3 days hunting Abby, public enemy number 1, then Abby comes to us, holds us at gunpoint, and now we're going back to do all 3 days all over again from Abby's point of view. Holy shit! It's a genuine revolution in storytelling. No other story has ever manipulated its audience's emotions like this, and the power of this story is intrinsically tied to its medium. We've already seen from the TV show that it's nowhere near as effective outside the video game format. The first half of the game makes you hate this character character with a passion, then the second half makes you walk a mile in her shoes and see things from her perspective. There are a lot of videos of streamers who got to this point in the game, then immediately quit the game, deleted the game file, and took a pair of scissors to the game disc. Not only is that an incredibly immature and overdramatic response to a video game, it's also extremely closed-minded. If you play this game with an open mind and allow yourself to empathize with Abby, then it's a deeply profound experience that challenges your own biases and preconceptions, and maybe even gives you a whole new outlook on your fellow human beings. I thought the game was wrapping up with the end of Ellie's story, and it was in a way, but now it's a whole different game. You've got a new home base, a new supporting cast, a new arsenal of weapons, and a new skill set, not to mention arms like a horse's legs. And you've got a whole new campaign to play. The story shifts to dealing with a new central theme too, and it's a natural progression from the last one. Ellie's story is all about revenge. She's exactly where Abby was when she killed Joel. But Abby's story is about redemption. Ellie's story is all about losing your humanity, but Abby's story is about clawing it back after it's gone. She's racked with guilt over what she did to Joel, despite what he did to her, and it's changed the way her friends look at her, except Manny. Killing Joel didn't fill the emotional void left by Jerry's death, it just created a new one. Now Abby is looking to fill that emotional void with a nobler purpose, and she'll find that in a pure, precious little boy named Lev. But that's a story for another video. That about does it for Ellie Day 3, but we'll be back with Abby Day 1 and start this thing all over again, so stay tuned. In the meantime, when you're lost in the darkness, look for the light. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked the video. Remember to like and subscribe and click on the little bell. And also seize the day and call your mom and be kind to yourself.